All right, so we are discussing CDC Pro 12. Already, I can see some comments. What? VRC was easy for me. DL and QS hard. VRC was disastrous for me. Otherwise, other section was decent. So, I mean, there are a lot of mixed reviews, of course. So, we can. I have Shashank and Gautam with me, and I think Shivku will join at about 8:45. I'll have to leave at 8:30, so I'll discuss VRC, then I'll leave, and then I'll let Gautam and Shashank to take over and deal with QA and DLR. So Neha, if you can share the PPT, we can start. Okay, great. So let's start with the pro analysis and look at the story. I think it's kind of if you look at the score, at least if you look at the 99.5, 99 percentile, and would be probably like a 2022. But then if you go down, I'm sure that it's like a 2021 kind of a scenario. Of course, these are um, based on the scores of 5,200, which I think would be statistically relevant at least to look at this. So it'll be interesting to look at section wise scores. Probably next slide would showcase that. Yeah, there you go. So I think what DLR maths was manageable. Is it that is that the story? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Shashank.
Quant was very easy. There are at least 10 to 12 sitters in the paper. So, getting 30 marks, I don't think was a big problem in this mock in quant section. So, I think people are scoring because of quant. Was in the group, people were crying over VARC कि VARC कुछ नहीं हुआ, VARC कुछ नहीं हुआ. Quant आसान था लेकिन quant में नंबर नहीं आए. I screwed up. लेकिन everyone is saying quant was not difficult.
Definitely.
सीधे.
मतलब, my analysis also was like probably VRC was the toughest in this paper. And QA probably was the easiest. So अगर हम लोग sectional cutoffs में भी जा रहे हैं, so वो ideally balance out हो पा रहा था VRC and Quant. LRDA probably was almost at par with last two exams, last two CAT 22 and 23. So definitely Quant was an easier. There was so many sitters in the paper.
So okay. So it's kind of interesting to see. So what is basically when I look at the VRC scores, at least from here, for what I can actually see is the students, those students were kind of banking on VRC to get the score of 45 plus. I think that did not happen this time around. Otherwise, if you look at from the 99 to other percentile, is probably very similar to how it was kind of last year. In the look of it, DLR looks very similar, and like you said, but actually, if I look at the story of Quant has been one section which has got all kind of scores. If you look at the history of CAT, I think if you look at the history of CAT, DLR, more or less you can be certain, yeah, this will be somewhere, it'll be like this, or VRC will be somewhere like this. Quant has got all kind of variations. I remember, if I look, I think of course, once you guys reach Quant and when you discuss Quant, you'll see this. I think it was last year was Quant was slightly very painful compared to other years, but you've seen a lot of sort of fluctuation with respect to Quant. Yeah, so that's so this is anyway the story as we can see of CDC Pro 12. Okay, so we can start with the VRC analysis. So I think that'll be the next slide. Okay. So if you look at the score distribution of VRC, and if you look at from 75 percentile, 80, 85, 90, 95, 97, even 99, you actually see that it's probably like the CAT 2023 score. It is just that when you start hitting the 99.5 percentile, it kind of sort of came down to about 40. So what that tells me is that is this particular VRC section, those of you are used to scoring really high would have struggled. But otherwise, whatever pain that was in VRC is that pain continues even now. Okay, so if you can go to the next slide, I can give you a sense in terms of what happened this VRC, what was the design of this particular test, and also what led to whatever we are seeing here. Yeah, so the So if you actually look at reading comprehension, I cannot see any greens. I can only see two greens, and which is and the rest of the thing I can see all yellows and reds, right? And the VA portion, so I think those of you who have kind of got, let's say, a score of 12 to 15 in VA would have done well in this particular test. I think the differentiator in this particular mock would have been VA. What I've seen usually is that there are many students who kind of accepted that lot of this VA question is not going to give us marks. We have many of you have accepted that odds in this question is not going to give us marks. Most of us have accepted that the paragraph jumble is not going to give any marks. And when we are accepted that and created this sort of pseudo reality, what is going to happen is that we have not put in any effort to work to improve our score in those areas. So if you actually look at question number 20, for instance, that's a paragraph, odds in this question. An odds in this question where you have, obviously there is no negative marking, there are many people who would have taken a risk. That odds in this question had about 50% accuracy, which means that odds in the question I would treat it to be easy. If you look at both the paragraph jumble question, I don't know why 23 turned out to be how it is. Both the paragraph jumble question was sort of manageable. Yet, if I look at the attempt of the paragraph jumble questions, those are very low. The sentence placement question, I do agree that the second sentence placement question was slightly painful, but even the sentence placement question was manageable. The the paragraph jumble, in fact, the paragraph jumble question, it's very surprising for me to see whatever the whatever I can see in 22. But the paragraph jumble question was also manageable. The point is that we have 30 days. Right? I don't know when you will stop creating these pseudo realities or false realities that VA is not going to work for you. And I would strongly encourage that in the next 30 days you work towards improving your score in VA. Right. So I think this is an advice that I have to give you. Right. We still have 30 days. Okay, so if this is November 13 and then you still have a problem VA, we can't do anything. But we still have 30 days. Even if I, let's say, pick up, let's say, 10 VA questions every single day, in 30 days, I can still do 300 questions. Right. So if, for example, today, if I have an issue with odd sentence, rather than accepting that odd sentence is very painful and odd sentence is going to work, if I can start working on odd sentence question, using brute force, is going to help us. So imagine, for instance, that in the VA, I'm able to get a score of, let's say, 15 to 18. What will that do to your score? 15 to 18 in itself will be something like a 75 percentile. That 15 to 18 should come from VA itself. And it's also very possible. There are 8 questions on the day of the CAT. We don't know how the VA is going to be. It's also possible. I think there is a possibility to get every single VA question correct. That is 24 marks. And if we accept today, if we create this sort of false reality and then say that VA is something that is not going to work for me, then it's a problem. The way in which you'll have to work in VA is to kind of create a process by which you can solve each type of question. Now, you cannot be spending, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes on a paragraph jumble question and get 0 marks. It doesn't make sense. So I would really encourage. I think that those of you have to at least cross a score of 35-ish would have seen sort of the VA playing a crucial role. That's I want to talk about VA. Let me talk about reading comprehension. If you actually look at the passages, like I think the first passages was on Holocaust and the impact on how you look at how photographs may not actually, how you ought to be careful when you look at a photograph of Holocaust pictures, right? Okay, so that's sort of about the first passage. If you actually read the passage is not very difficult to read. Okay, the second passage, if I remember, was on what our second passage was sort of a crazy looking passage. It talks about there was 2 period and there is a narrator sharing their experience as a creature in those 2 period. One was, I think, 185 million years ago, and the second was about 85 million years ago. That passage sounded a little crazy, but actually the passage was not very difficult to read and understand. Okay, in fact, the sentence was wrong. The third passage, I believe, was on the the the, the, the role of humanity when there are a lot of calamities, global calamities that happens, right? Even that passage was not difficult. The fourth passage was on defeasible reasoning, like how deductive reasoning is not so sort of not applicable, not that applicable in everyday situation, and we need defeasible reasoning. That is a passage, even that passage. So the structure of that particular passage was the first paragraph makes a claim that deductive validity may not work every time. There are also other kind of justification that is possible. Three example is given, and that so structure wise fine. So if you look at all the four passages, it is not that the passage were difficult to read. I think what has happened in each of these questions were how the options were framed. If I go back and look at passage number one, there were a lot of double negatives, the way in which options were created. I don't know if you can share the question. I think I can pull up a few questions and discuss a few questions and tell you. Neha, is that possible? If you can share the PDF of the test, I can. Then I can let you know. Okay, so you don't have the question paper with you. Okay, so let me see that if I can share. Okay, just hold on. I might have it me. Let me just pick the question. Just give me a second. Yeah, so there you go. Okay. So just want to uh, run you through some of this question. I probably will have to increase the size. Okay, there you go. Okay. So when you kind of look at the first passage, so let's for example look at the first question itself, and I believe that this is one of the questions where a lot of people had a problem in, right? So this question had statement which is which was creatorless. This statement which says cannot be framed in ways that do not influence their meaning, and then many of you went and marked this answer choice. And how do I deal with double negatives, right? The best way to deal with double negatives was to look at this not. There is one not here, then another not there. That those knots cancels out. So we can read actually like can be framed in ways that influence their meaning. The photographs can be framed in ways they actually influence the meaning. That is something that the passage does say. So this question was due to this double negative. The second question was the problem with the second question in terms of how these options were framed. In many cases, what you actually see is that when you create these options, right? This word propaganda was explicitly not mentioned in the particular passage. So it is very natural for somebody to assume that propaganda would be an alien concept. But what is a propaganda? Propaganda is deliberately trying to project a narrative which is may not be the reality, right? So that is a propaganda, right? Propaganda is a state trying to provide a narrative uh, to their own narrative. I mean, you actually look at this. German photographers created incidents that never really happened. They were forced to cooperate with the photographer. In certain pictures, what the German photographers created incident that never really happened. So they were trying to that in itself is a propaganda. So that's the problem here. Uh, we had so that those are the kind of issues issues that you had with passage number one. Paragraph number two, I don't know why anyone would have made mistake in this particular passage, right? I don't know whether you read this particular passage and went like, what the hell was going on? I think this was taken from Eon essays. This particular passage was kind of from taken from Eon. So you can go through the solution that I shared, and you'll have a sense. This first question was very easy. I think that almost everybody got this question correct. So look at who is most likely the narrator of the particular passage. Okay, this particular question was a tough question to do, but at least one you can see this. It's like my life, I. So at least we can understand that the narrator here is the same as the narrator here. So these are not different narrators. At least that would have been enough to for us to eliminate this, eliminate some of this answer choice. A collection of ancestral voice, not a collection of voice. It is one person narration. It is not going to be a time traveler, recon experience. A time traveler is an external observer. That is not the case. You could have eliminated a few things. There is no way you would have made mistake in these ones, right? For example, this says it can be inferred from the passage, the the narrated experience all of the following except, and the passage clearly tells. The passage is clearly say that sleep was very restless. The person was having very restless sleep. So it was a nightmarish sleep. So therefore this particular statement here finds refuge in sleep is exactly opposite to what is mentioned. And again, this particular question was also easy, but I don't know. You will have to kind of reflect in terms of why you made mistake. This particular passage here, I think, what typically happens is when we start reading a passage, somewhere towards the end, we kind of give up. I think that we reach the last paragraph and go, "Acha, I've understood most of it. I really do." And we tend to go really fast towards the end because we already are very bored. We want to finish it. We want to go to the question. The entire passage crux was on this statement. Okay, each generation faces its own maelstrom adversity, yet it is truth, beauty, and the art that infuse life with meaning and value. It's saying the art actually gives value to sort of life, to all the issues that we are facing. It actually gives infuse life. Humanity is worth it. Okay, we should not be postponing during the period of calamities. There is a value to humanities. That was it. So the entire argument was there in this sort of last sentence. If you got it, you should have got three sentences out. This passage on on the deductive validity, I don't know what happened here. um so you have done quite a lot of critical reasoning based questions, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning. These are sort of fundamental critical reasoning concepts, right? In the solution, I try to give us some sense in terms of what it actually means. Deductive validity means the conclusion is actually guaranteed, right? The conclusion cannot go wrong. That's what deduction means. If I say all humans are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. If all let's say simple one. If all A are B, or if I say all elephants are black, I am an elephant, therefore I am black. That conclusion is guaranteed from the premises. That is deduction. Deduction means conclusion is guaranteed. The whole argument was that there's a long tradition of philosophy that good reasoning has to be deductively valid, that the conclusion has to be guaranteed. But in 1916, that kind of changed. There are a lot of arguments where we can't guarantee a conclusion. For example, let's say that in your mocks, you've been getting percentiles above 95. Every single mock that you've taken, you've got a percentile above 95. Therefore, I can predict and make a conclusion saying that in the cat, it's very likely that you're going to get a percentile more than 95. Now, that conclusion is not going to be guaranteed, but the whole argument is that that conclusion is also justified. That is a defeasible argument that is mentioned. Three example of why defeasible argument makes sense is mentioned, and then it's eventually saying that okay, no sophisticated cognizant, no sophisticated advanced thinker can do without defeasible reasoning. Defeasible reasoning is a must. Now, if you kind of got that, I think barring maybe one question, three questions kind of was manageable. The issues that happened here, I believe, was largely got to do with how the options were framed. Right? How the options were framed. None of these options was sort of replica of what was in the passage. It was sort of a twisted version of each. So what I would say is that every single question was like this. Obviously, in the cat, it's not going to be that. Every single question will not be like this. There might be one passage, a few questions like this. But what I would say is that this will be a great learning opportunity for you guys. So what I want you to do is, I have recorded the solution. I have taken enough pains to help you understand how to sort of deal with these questions. Right. What I want you to do is redo this question once again, right, and then look at the solution and pick up a lot of learnings. I believe this will be a great learning. Don't worry about the score that you got in this particular mock. um, The kind of challenge that you would have faced in reading comprehension, every single question had a challenge. It may not be like that in the can, but I think that will be great learning one. You could have got this VA correct. For example, let me just go and pick up uh, this question here. Okay, this is question number 22. This is a paragraph jumble question. Okay. What I want to showcase in this paragraph jumble question is there are two statements that is meant, two terms. One is evaluation, another is justification. So we have got the statement evaluation is mentioned and justification mentioned. Right. This particular sentence talks about evaluation and evaluation. Okay. This particular sentence says that a common way to distinguish love from other personal attitude in terms of distinct kind of evaluation. This particular says that talks about justification. The only thing that you want to do is that when was this term introduced? The term evaluation is introduced here in sentence number 3. A common way to distinguish love from other personal attitude in terms of distinct kind of evaluation. This was when it was introduced. Okay, and this particular sentence explains that evaluation. Now, sentence number 1 closely related to question evaluation, a question of justification. Justification is introduced in sentence number 1. So evaluation is introduced here. Evaluation, let's explain it is number 2. Justification introduced here, and justification is explained in sentence number 4. There is no way you should have got this question wrong. I think a lot of you, I don't know, this was a standard way of understanding echoes in a particular one. So this clearly tells me that we have not been practicing paragraph jumble, or we actually have given up on paragraph jumble. If you've been practicing enough paragraph jumble, and if at some point in time in your preparation you understood the paragraph jumble was a problem, and then you address that particular problem, you should have got questions like this correct. The only thing that I want to tell you is that we don't know what is going to happen on 24th of November, right? There are 3 slots. I don't know what's going to happen. What I know is that I cannot be sitting today and saying that I'm going to bank on certain type of questions. We still have 30 days, right? I have to ensure, I have to kind of ensure that I'm working on every type of question, especially VA. And I would want to encourage you, all of you, to ensure that you're able to get close to about, create a target saying that I want to get 50 marks in VA, at least. I've got 30 days, right? You have seen all the improvements that you've seen in 30 days. You've seen a lot of improvements that can happen in 30 days. I would really encourage you that you don't accept these false realities. Don't accept that your paragraph summary is difficult. Don't accept that odd sentence is always painful. Don't accept that paragraph jumble is always painful. Don't accept that sentence placement always a problem. I think that you handle this head on. You have got enough questions with you. You've got all the mocks. You can go back and look at the question in the mock. And I really want to encourage you that you work on VA. Right. So you have done a lot of work on RC. I'm sure that you've put in a lot of effort on RC, right? But I'll really encourage you that you work on VA. That's what I want to talk about. This one, I think, it should be a sort of great learning for the great learning for all of you. And I do hope that you don't treat it like, oh my God, what is going to happen if my score is low? It might be possible a lot of your score would have dropped. Some of your score would have increased, but many of your score would have dropped from the usual. But I think that still keep it as a very learning opportunity, so that you can work and not repeat what happened in CDC Pro number 12. The simple thing is that by design, it was not unnecessarily painful than any of these the passages that you had. It's just that it had certain challenges, and the challenges is something that we are not very used to. I think that is sort of what CDC Pro 12 PRC gave us a challenge. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's about the VA RC. I think Neha, okay, you can continue with DLR, and I'll take a leave.
Okay, sir. Gautam sir, I think you should take the lead. Gautam sir, you are not audible.
Yeah. So, yeah. DLR section. To be very true, probably when you look at the what Gejo sir was talking about, probably after that tough VRC, the DLR section might be people would have screwed up. But otherwise, on the overall ground, the best part of this DLR section, the choice was little easier. We had 5 passages, 5 sets with 4 questions each. The best part of this mock was the second and the third and the fourth set was a clear choice. Because अगर मैं ध्यान से, if you look down the data also, what is already there on the screen, attempting out probably choosing two questions was not a tough job. So probably the range of the score is not that much. If I look at this particular mock, 85 percentile was at 18 marks and 99.5 percentile was also turned out to be at 30 marks. Whereas when it comes to CAT 23, we can understand the range was huge, 13 to 31. That was a difference of a huge 18 marks. But here it was a difference of only 12 marks. Probably the reason was the first set was a clear no. Huge amount of information talking about people, their spouses, their children, huge amount of data. So the best part of this mock in terms of a DLR section was definitely the choice was little easier. We could have easily negated the first and the fifth set. Looking at the PDF, the question paper, the choice made was little easier. So what we were left with definitely three sets. That is second set, third set, and fourth set. And then three of the sets were manageable. The best part was the questions were not even very tough. So that was probably the reason that might be most of the people who probably would be targeting 85 or 90 plus percentile was able to manage up with two sets. The only problem probably with this kind of mock was because there was a disadvantage of having 4 questions per set. So most of the students would probably have a mindset of not going down to the third set. So probably would have stuck up with two sets, would have probably devoted 32 minutes on two sets only. And that is why we can see the 99.5% even stuck up at 30 score. So that was probably the case. Definitely, there were certain people, they were telling me, I was reading the comments, Shashank, I want you to comment on that. What was the fun of making VRC so tough in this dates? So my comment on that would be probably, guys, we won't probably be able to predict this time. Might be that VRC turned out to be very tough, because I had my analysis last year also in paper. At times, quant was becoming very tough, and people used to say, what is the fun of making quant so tough? But then CAT 23, there was definitely, it was much tougher quant than CAT 20.
It was a disaster, and anyone who was banking upon quant in actual exam, they actually screwed it.
Yeah. So that probably could happen in this year in VRC also, probably because I find majority of the people banking upon VRC this year, because it's a kind of a prediction that quant has to be tough again this year. So that is going to be a disaster. So probably this mock was a good learning that it might happen that quant turns out to be easier again, probably as CAT 21. And yes, you could end up doing higher, you can end up scoring higher in quant. And probably DLR, FLC, Shashank sir also, from last so many years, more or less same. DILR, we are not finding any kind of change from last 3 years. We can see the scores also.
And in 13, 14 marks, you always get 85 percentile. At 13, 14 marks, your sectional is clear. So it's not that difficult. And I was solving DILR in the metro. So when I read the first set, and I was reading it, and I thought, okay, these are the possibilities. So there are going to be too many possibilities. When I read the fourth set, it was easiest. Even if you are not doing anything, you can get the two answers very easy.
Very easy. Last two.
हाँ, तो मतलब मेरा तो ये रहता है कि सबसे ज्यादा स्कोर किसका आएगा, विराट का आएगा. हाँ ठीक है, मार दो. ठीक है. I looked at the data, and that was clear cut thing कि विराट का ही आएगा. सबसे कम स्कोर किसका आएगा, यादव का आएगा. It was clearly visible. So two answers, आप just look at the data, mark two questions. And the last set was something जो उठाना ही नहीं था. मतलब that set is so beautiful. It is looking at you and telling you कि मत करो, छोड़ो तो रन. ठीक है. But I'm not sure anyone tried that set or not. So
I think next slide पे भी देखेंगे ना सर, तो analysis was, मतलब the DLR section was more or less very clear. Neha, if we can move to the next slide, in terms of accuracy and attempts, yes. So I think probably the students were very clear, because see, we can understand first set में 10% attempt भी नहीं है, और last set में भी it is hardly like 10, 12, 15% of the people looking for the set. So इस DLR में सबसे बड़ा advantage यही था कि choice was very easy. Probably high score के लिए एक ही tension आया. We had to attempt 3 sets.
Yes. And you know, sir, basically we are talking about that 21. So they have 5 sets.
हाँ जी.
So वो इस time we do not know that we are going to have 4 sets of 5 questions or 5 sets of 4 questions. So we are trying all the variations which if you are going to write the actual exam, so you should not be suddenly surprised कि अचानक change आ गया. No, so that's the reason we are trying everything कि ऐसा भी देख लेते हैं. So if you are comfortable with 4 sets and if you go to a exam and you see कि अचानक ही 5 सेट आ गए, then what will you do? So that's the reason we are trying different variety of things so that nothing will be surprising for you. इसलिए ठीक है, we are
Definitely,
not
that
trying
is
to
very
do
important. The student should be prepared for probably every kind of variations.
uncertainties के लिए वो तैयार होना चाहिए.
I think there was the fourth set. Anand का एक था that fourth set was tough beta. To be very true, Anand, no, I would not say that it was actually a tough set. Basic range based question था, where probably weighted average लगाकर it was definitely easier. And
तो
second set भी
तो
कुछ लोगों
गौतम
का
सर आप
है.
देखिए ना, लास्ट 2 क्वेश्चंस जो फोर्थ सेट के हैं उसको लोगों ने अटेम्प्ट किया एंड whoever attempted those 2 questions got them right. If you
Got
see
them right.
accuracy is close to 90%.
हाँ जी.
ठीक है.
Perfect.
And हाँ, and the third set was also easy. If you see accuracy is very high. A lot of people attempted and everyone got right. So basically I think people are getting comfortable with this कि मतलब पहला सेट किसी ने नहीं किया, so I think people are getting smarter कि नहीं समझ में आ रहा है तो छोड़ो, move on to the next one. So this is something they are doing fine. I'm very happy that people haven't attempted the first set and the fifth set. So I'm very happy about it. कि हाँ ठीक है कि अब छोड़ना तो सीख रहे हैं धीरे धीरे कि नहीं ये नहीं
At least the choice is becoming better.
हाँ हाँ.
And
So
एक suggestion और है for everybody. To be very true, if you look down to the second set, that is probably a kind of a basic fundamental of data interpretation. So if we are probably lacking in this set, probably we're not able to take that. I probably believe that yes, we need to go back, solve the previous year CAT papers, and probably the basic concept should be more or less clear. Because anybody who had that basic knowledge of that basic concept that is used in data interpretation second set would have been an easier attempt. So जिनका 95 plus का target है DLR में, I think that basic knowledge of basic fundamentals of data interpretation and certain other points is very necessary. So I have to keep suggesting students that make sure that you have solved all questions from CAT 17 to CAT 23 as far as DLR is concerned. So that first problem. Ayush was also saying the second set was a straight set out of sheet. So that was definitely there. So if we could have probably made sure that that was one set that could be linked over there, that was definitely an easier attempt.
So basically score should have been higher in this mock, I think, because 3 sets were easy. So पिछले मॉक से तो ज़्यादा ही स्कोर है लोगों का, but 99.5 percentile was at which value? नेहा, can you go back?
हाँ, उसमें 99.5 सर 30 पे था. उसका probably reason यही होगा कि तीनों sets complete करना was a tough task. Because even if a student is probably getting like 30 marks, that means he ends up getting 10 correct. So even if probably somebody has attempted all 3 sets, getting all 12 questions correct was a distant possibility.
No, sir. I'm talking about 99.5 percentile. So 99.5
DLR section, yeah, can you show us that? 99.5 probably was at 30 marks.
हाँ, so 99.5 पे I think the score should have been a little higher क्योंकि 3 sets doable थे. 99.5 पे I think it should be somewhere around close to 35 or 36.
36.
But बाकी तो ठीक है. People have performed pretty well in this mock. In LR, I think it's not that difficult. Yes, Shweta, fifth set was like, it was very different, and I think it was extremely difficult. And what I can say about it, it was but I liked that set क्योंकि उसमें एक चीज बड़ी प्यारी सी थी कि बहुत विजिबली कह रहा था कि नहीं करना है इसका. So I like those kind of questions. So that tell me immediately कि ये करना है, that tell me immediately ये नहीं करना है. So basically those kind of questions, I always like those kind of questions. जो बोलते हैं, जो hope दे देते हैं कि नहीं यार थोड़ा time लगा लो हो जाएगा, जो hope देते हैं, those kind of questions I don't like. So I like the first set, fifth set. तो उसमें मतलब ये clear cut no है कि देख के उन्होंने बोल दिया नहीं नहीं छोड़ो, ठीक है. So, and when we are talking about analysis, Dheeraj, so I think when you are analyzing, you should redo all the sets, understand all the sets. क्योंकि क्या है कि if you are going to get a similar set in the exam, the set you are finding it difficult today, there are chances कि वो वाला set तुम्हें एग्जाम में आसान लगे क्योंकि तुम वैसे कर चुके. Did you get my point?
एंड एक और डाउट आ रहा है, सेट 2 ने कुछ होप दिया बट होपलेसली छोड़ दिया, तो धीरज प्रोबेबली आई थिंक वी नीड टू लर्न this stage. Probably, see, if you're taking mocks and you're not learning out of mocks, that could be a bigger disaster. So my suggestion at this point of time is, if you have got any kind of mock, you have the video solutions, you have the complete solutions with it, your purpose at this point is to be learn the maximum out of it and try to figure out, because अगर similar set जैसे शान सर ने कहा कि कुछ आ जाए, कुछ भी limited मिलता जुलता concept, anything like that comes, probably we should be able to take that. Yes, Krish, the first set was very lengthy. I'm not saying it was very tough, but yes, it was very lengthy. So agar we had other 3 sets which were attemptable, definitely that was a clear choice. So I think जो हमने जहाँ से मैंने start भी किया, शांक सर ने भी कहा, the best part of this mock was the choice. Choice का problem नहीं था, because most of the time normally mocks में क्या होता है that you need to figure out कहाँ पे time spend करें, after spending 3, 4, 5 minutes to figure out कि नहीं होगा. But इस case में ऐसा नहीं था. So probably scoring 30 plus for 99.5 percentile was an easy job. What is second concept?
Second concept is 15% of Agra is equal to 25% of clear trip. That's it.
That's it.
So basically, someone is saying that VARC के बाद मूड खराब हो गया, तो बेटा एग्जाम में तो whenever you are going to sit on the seat, जैसे ही बैठोगे टाइमर देखोगे मूड ऑफ हो जाएगा, ठीक है, before you read the first line मूड ऑफ हो जाएगा. So उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है. So you don't have to worry about it कि नहीं मूड ऑफ है, मूड अच्छा है, मूड पे नहीं चल रहा है पेपर, ठीक है. क्योंकि if you are thinking that anyone is happy when they are writing the exam, no, सब एक ही उस पे वो है, एक ही कंडीशन में है, सबकी हालत टाइट है, किसी को कुछ समझ पे नहीं आ रहा है, एंड एवरीवन इज स्ट्रगलिंग. एंड रिमेंबर वन पॉइंट, प्री कंसीव्ड नोशंस नहीं होने चाहिए एग्जाम में. यू हैव टू इम्प्रोवाइज ऑन द स्पॉट. समझ में आया करो, समझ में नहीं आया छोड़ दो. एंड गौरांग, वी ऑलवेज से कि 17 to 23 आपको सारे के सारे ही करने हैं, DILR, QA, VA सब करना है. क्वेश्चन रिपीट नहीं होते हैं, लेकिन द लैंग्वेज माइट बी सिमिलर.
कुछ concepts repeat होते भी हैं, मतलब it's not that the complete set would be repeated, but yes, we can pick here and then that, because अगर कुछ देखा लगता है, so definitely that would add more value to it, that releases our pressure, so that makes important, and that's important learning also. And कुछ लोग यहाँ कह रहे थे कि I missed out, fourth set doable लग रहा था. See, second, third, fourth, 3 of them was doable. Definitely third and fourth was the easiest of all.
Right. So,
and somebody was also saying that this third set according to CAT? Yes. CAT may every year you get one set which is normally on the easier side. Most of the time. Every year CAT you can look down. We can have one set which is not very tough. So you definitely tend to get one set. This is a huge probability. That कोई एक सेट ऐसा आएगा जो बहुत अटेम्प्टेबल था. If you look down to CAT 22, each of the 3 slots had one set which was very easy. So that is my fundamental. इसमें वहाँ पे सबसे पहले करके we'll have to save time and spend time on other questions.
Even if you say last year, one set was very easy, one set is moderate, one set is difficult. That's there in the CAT every year. And 4 set might be easy, might be moderate, might be difficult. So basically paper difficult होगा तो अगर 2 difficult है, right? अगर मॉडरेट होगा तो इसका मतलब 2 मॉडरेट, एक इजी एक डिफिकल्ट है, इजी है मतलब 2 इजी, राइट. सो बेसिकली उसमें पहले से सोच के नहीं जाना है कि इजी होगा कि डिफिकल्ट होगा. एग्जाम में करो, जो हो गया वो हो जाएगा, दैट्स इट, राइट. सो पहले से सोचना नहीं है कि ये करेंगे ये करेंगे ये करेंगे, कुछ नहीं सोचना है. और जो सेक्शन अपन दे दिए और वो सेक्शन का बैगेज अगले सेक्शन में कैरी नहीं करना है, क्योंकि अगर एक सेक्शन खराब हो गया. सो बेसिकली आई एम नॉट श्योर कि वर्बल में लोगों का वर्बल का बैगेज लोग कैरी क्यों कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि वर्बल में तो आधे टाइम समझ ही नहीं आता कि खराब भी हो गया. तो DILR people realize कि ओके शिट खराब हो गया, एंड QA के बाद तो समझ ही आ जाता है कि हाँ बहुत खराब हो गया है, लेकिन ये के बाद पता चलता है लोगों को कि खराब हो गया.
Fine. So I think Ravi is also
हाँ,
joining us.
Ravi is joining. So हाँ, अरे गजब. अरे बहुत बढ़िया.
कैसा लगा मेरा मजाक?
अरे बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया.
I think
So
yeah, I was
हाँ,
just going through DILR. मतलब
हाँ, I have gone through it.
uh, I'm a little
So
hurt with the scores.
yeah,
I mean, I
everyone is
felt that there were about 2.5, 3 sets तो बन जाने चाहिए थे इस पेपर में. At
हाँ.
least the second, third, and probably even the first set if you had spent time on it. I mean, the first set looks ugly. It looks like a javelin, but it is not.
No, Ravi, I think if someone is doing the first set, then they are missing out either in the second set or third set or fourth set. It is lengthy, not difficult.
Yeah. It's only lengthy, yeah. And there's no reason why people got it wrong either. Only those 10-15% of people who have attempted it. But I think, okay, good choice, given that the second set was very straightforward. The third set was also very straightforward. The fourth set, I think, the language of the question 37, as we were discussing in the morning, Shashank sir, what is the range of scores of Jaiswal? Now, range means two things. One is that x less than y less than z, wo x and so usme y ka range is between x and z. The other thing is that you need to identify what is the best I can do with the question at the moment. So range otherwise also means the difference between the maximum and minimum values. Then 68 I get 62. If you have found it out, then the range is 6. So you have to look at what best can be done with whatever has been asked in the question. So in that sense, I mean, if you got the 39 and 40 correct, what was stopping from मतलब वो सेट तो बनाया ही है. If people have got 90% accuracy in 39 and 40, what was stopping them from getting the same kind of accuracy in 37 and 38 is what I'm
No,
a little
Ravi,
worried
if you read the data and read the question, you can directly figure out कि
Yeah.
कौन बनेगा. उसमें तो 39 और 40 के लिए कुछ सॉल्व ही नहीं करना है. I just
Correct.
looked at the data. It was telling me कि विराट कोहली कैप्टन बनना. तो
Yeah,
weighted
either
average.
Sharma या कोहली दोनों में से एक बनना था. बाकी के values in the 4 sections that mattered the most, they were having fewer scores there. So it was out anyway.
सेकंड वन लोएस्ट स्कोर वाला यादव भी था और कोई हो ही नहीं सकता. तो वो भी
Last set
visible.
वो है क्या sir? Is the last set that one that we
No,
were
no, no.
discussing on call this morning?
नहीं.
ABCDE 5 brothers.
हाँ,
Yeah.
that
Last set
Yeah.
was that only.
Last set was that. It had a little complications in itself in that sense. So it's okay if people have attempted second, third, and fourth sets. One could have got 10 questions correct in the second, third, and fourth sets. There's no reason why one who has attempted these 12 questions should get anything wrong in that sense. So if मेरा बस ये मानना है सर कि if you had enough time to attempt 3 sets in this paper, you have done a good job because you were in for a surprise also. I mean, you were expecting a 4 into 5, you got a 5 into 4 instead. So you were in for a surprise, and even if you are even when you are in for a surprise, and if you are getting 3 set time enough to solve 3 sets, that means you have paced your paper well. For those who have attempted more than 2 sets, those who went in with a strategy कि मेरे को 2 ही set करना है, it's a false strategy, it's a wrong strategy. You have to play according to the pitch, according to the conditions, right? So if there are, Shashank sir, if you remember CAT 2014, all of the people used to say कि if you solve you solve 50% of the questions in the CAT, you are through. But CAT 2014 में Quant and DI was one section and BA and LR was one section, 50 questions each, right? And Quant and DI was comparatively very easy. It was a paper in which you could actually solve all 50 questions that were there, right?
But people didn't do it ना.
Notion 25 करने हैं इसमें.
हाँ, वो प्री कंसीव्ड नोशन जो है उसकी वजह से बहुत इश्यूज है.
That is all. In CAT 2014, when the average response sheets were submitted, a lot of people, the average number of responses was 64 in a paper of 100 questions. which means average student has answered about 65-70 questions in that paper. So if you go with a preconceived notion, that is what is bound to happen. See, in fact, CAT 2017, the quant was so easy. Out of 34 questions, 22, 23 of them were doable, right away doable. Right? So if you go in with that preconceived notion ki mere ko in VRC also that I will solve 3 RCs only. What if all the 4 RCs are easy? What if it is like CAT 2021 slot 3? Charo RC easy the. All 16 questions were easy, sir. In that paper.
But वो जो preconceived notion है ना कि ये आएगा, what if next year we have 4 sets, 2 sets have 6 questions, 2 sets have 4 questions? Can you deny the possibility? You can't. Can you have 5 sets? Yes. So what is up? So preconceived notion नहीं है. If you are not able to improvise on the D-Day, you are not doing great. पहले से कुछ सोच के नहीं जाना है. Last year everyone was thinking कि QA में तो आग ही लगा देना, फिर QA का पेपर देख के कुछ नहीं हुआ. ठीक है. So इस बार लोगों को लग रहा है बीए में आग लगा देंगे, पता चला बीए.
And also see a lot of credit goes to the people who solve the first slot also. वो फर्स्ट स्लॉट वाले ना अगर उनका QA टफ है तो पूरी दुनिया को आगे बताएंगे कि QA टफ था. फिर सेकंड स्लॉट और थर्ड स्लॉट वाला यही सोच के जाता है कि QA टफ आने वाला है. So
and you know if
वहां पे मुश्किल हो जाता है.
Ravi, when I went last year when I went for second slot, I didn't talk to anyone from the first slot. People were calling me, मैंने उठाया ही नहीं. मैंने कहा मेरे को जानना ही नहीं है पेपर कैसा है. So I went there and then I called everyone के पेपर डिफिकल्ट है. So उसमें थोड़ा सा वो है कि थोड़ा सा मतलब पहले से जानना पेपर के बारे में. I don't think it's a good idea. Just improvise then and there only. Don't think too much. So should we move
when Shiva sir saying कि इस बार 5 सेट रखने की सोच रहा हूँ. टेलीग्राम ग्रुप में ना only admins can message. अगर 5 सेट रखने हैं तो बोलेंगे कि ग्रुप में डाल देंगे random. But I think it's same this time. I'm happy.
So should we move on to QA now?
Yeah.
Shiva sir?
Please do. I'm dropping by the way.
Yeah, go on.
So ठीक है. So QA was, I think it was easy. ठीक है. I think paper was जिस बंदे ने पिछले 6 से 7 मॉक बहुत अच्छे से करे हुए उससे कम से कम 12 क्वेश्चन हो जाने चाहिए. There were a lot of similar questions in QA. Similar questions, not same. नाम, नंबर, कहानी सब अलग है, लेकिन similar questions were there. ठीक है. So Prerna, attempted order was first one was in DI, the third set, then fourth set, or you can say first fourth set, then third set, then second set, then first set, उसके बाद fifth set. Fifth set तो वैसे भी नहीं होना था. तो ये 4 basically these 4 were doable. So in QA अगर आपने अच्छे से सारे concept किए हुए हैं, you understand everything. So basically doing I think 15-16 at least 12 questions was not a problem. So if you see 99.5 percentile is at 45, 99 is at 42. It means a lot of people have done great in QA. 14 questions were pretty much doable. 97 is 36. मतलब हर बंदा मेहनत कर रहा है, and they are not carrying baggage from VA and LR. ये हम लोग बहुत टाइम से आप लोगों को बोलते आ रहे हैं कि वो नहीं करना है बैगेज कैरी, और इसमें QA को देख के लग रहा है कि लोगों ने नहीं किया है, and they have performed very well. Just look at the data. ठीक है. So I think I have also recorded my live attempt of QA. तो उसमें if you see I have attempted I think 18 questions. I have done it at I think 11:30 yesterday night. तो अभी थोड़ा सा वो है. Now should we open the वो इसको how I can अच्छा
शशांक थोड़ा बड़ा करो।
क्या ये स्क्रीन
हाँ ठीक है।
अच्छा हो गया क्या? अच्छा मैंने ही शेयर किया। Prerna, you can't say that this paper was very easy as compared to CAT. If you see CAT 2017, CAT 2017 was even easier. Okay. So basically, there was an error in the QA section. Question number 48 needed to change a little bit. But apart from that, I think it was fairly easy. The first one, if you see, if you know the graph of mod, you can do it very easily. ठीक है, अगर if you don't know the graph of mod, I don't think you should attempt this question, spend too much time. लेकिन if you know the graph of mod, double mod or triple mod, you can solve this question in less than 90 seconds. This was so easy. Question number 46, ये तो बहुत standard question है. We have seen these kind of questions a lot of times. We have seen the similar questions in CAT as well. It was this type of question was there in CAT 2000, I think 17, 2019 or 21. इन दोनों में से एक साल ये question था. It was extremely easy. Question number 47, I was attempted in yesterday's mock and I couldn't get it because I made a mistake. I actually calculated hypotenuse, जो नहीं करना था. We should have used similarity. उससे ये question बहुत आसान हो जाता. This was a little wrong. Sir, you want to add something?
Go on.
Yeah, question number 49. Question number 49, we have done these kind of questions a lot. Fairly easy. कोई जादू वादू नहीं करना है, सिंपल से अपना इक्वेशन लिखो और पट से हो जाएगा. Question number 50, when I was solving it at first, it didn't click me, but when I went back, I was able to solve it. So ये वो वाला concept है. Basically, this is that concept कि 4 लड़के हैं, 3 लड़कियां हैं, and कितने तरीके से बिठाना है कि कोई भी 2 लड़कियां साथ में नहीं होनी चाहिए. So basically, this question is completely dependent on that concept. So if you are comfortable with that concept, this question is extremely easy. Calculation was not there. Initially, लग रहा है कि if you are going to make every case, then it seems lengthy. But if you know a little bit of permutation and combination, it's not that. Question number 51. 51 में तो सीधे सीधे दिख ही रहा है उसमें कि इक्वेट कर लो थर्ड टर्म को और सेवेंथ टर्म को. So R का रिलेशन आ जाएगा, R का रिलेशन आ जाएगा तो आंसर आ जाएगा. Question number 52. If we look at question number 52, A की बात करें तो there is a change in A, there is a change in B, लेकिन C constant है. तो initial और final C को equate कर देंगे तो उससे A और B का change आ जाएगा. So there is not a problem in that. Question number 50, वैसे इसका वो है क्या? Question number 53 का कितने लोगों ने attempt किया है?
Question number 53. Attempts, I was surprised to see the attempts.
हाँ, लोगों ने attempt भी किया है, सही भी है. So basically उसमें कुछ नहीं है.
नहीं
GP
लेकिन
बन रही है.
ये attempt जो है ना, ये
हाँ.
since this is a non-MCQ,
हाँ.
मुझे लगता
अच्छा
है
तो
किसी
लोगों
ने
ने अपने मन से. No sir,
so
but if you see, people also get it right. 64% people got it right.
Correct.
So लोगों ने so basically GP है, GP का सम लगा दो तो सीधे सीधे x power 4 minus 1 equal to 1. So equal to 0, तो x power 4 comes out to be 1. So आंसर तुरंत ही आ जाएगा इसमें. Then कहाँ गया वो वाला पेपर? हाँ, अब आ जाते हैं नेक्स्ट वन. ये LCM वाला क्वेश्चन. इफ यू आर वेरी कंफर्टेबल विद द कंसेप्ट ऑफ LCM, then you should do it, because these kind of questions, this question number 54, this kind of question I generally avoid in actual exam, क्योंकि मुझे ये पता है कि I know how to solve it. The problem is when I make cases in such kind of questions, I tend to miss couple of cases. ये जनरली मुझसे गलती होती है एग्जाम में, तो मैं इस टाइप के क्वेश्चन को तब करता हूँ जब मेरे पास टाइम होता है. अदरवाइज बिकॉज आई नो द कंसेप्ट के हाउ टू कैलकुलेट एलसीएम, हाउ टू मेक केसेस, लेकिन इफ आई मिस आउट वन केस आई विल बी वेस्टिंग टाइम एज वेल एज आई विल नॉट बी अवॉर्डेड एनी मार्क फॉर इट. सो मैं इसको बाद में करूंगा. राइट. Now the next one, this is very easy. A square plus b square is 5. B square plus c square is 2 that is 20, and c square plus a square is 90. तीनों को ऐड करके डिवाइड बाय 2 कर दो तो a स्क्वायर प्लस b स्क्वायर प्लस c स्क्वायर आ गया, उससे अपने आंसर तुरंत आ जाएंगे. Now let's move on to question number 56. So what question number 56 is saying, इसमें कि बेसिकली व्हेन आई वाज थिंकिंग कि वो 75 का चार्ज कर रहा है और 60 दे रहा है, तो इसका मतलब उसको सीधे सीधे 25% का प्रॉफिट हो गया. मतलब 100 को 125 पे बेच रहा है, राइट. उसके बाद उसने 2% और लगा दिया 125 पे, तो आंसर 127 के आसपास कुछ बनना चाहिए. 127 से थोड़ा ज्यादा. एक ही ऑप्शन है 27 में, दैट इज ऑप्शन 4. बहुत ज्यादा कैलकुलेशन नीडेड नहीं है ये क्वेश्चन. डिसऑनेस्ट शॉपकीपर वाला जो कंसेप्ट है, वो वाला जो कंसेप्ट है इसमें, वो वाला लग जाएगा. नाउ ये क्वेश्चन नंबर 57, ये बहुत ही आसान क्वेश्चन है. इसमें क्या करना है कि पहले वाले में ए में रैशनलाइज कर दो तो सब कट जाएगा. दूसरा वाला जो है 1/1 -1/2, ये अपना स्टैंडर्ड एजीपी है, सॉरी टेलीस्कोपिक सीरीज है, तो टेलीस्कोपिक सीरीज को डिवाइड करके तो अपन कर ही लेते हैं. सब कट नहीं होता इसमें, तो अगर आपने काट दिया तो आपका आंसर आ गया, तो ये भी हो जाएगा. Question number 58, when I am going to solve this question in the exam, more likely I will not be attempting this question. This is too much tricky, nothing is visible clearly. So I liked this question because इसने बता दिया नहीं होना. Question number 59 was, I would say it was easy, कि इसमें मतलब क्लास में juniors assume कर लो, there are 100 juniors and there are some seniors, और हिंदी वाले लोग इक्वेट कर लो, यू विल गेट द आंसर सम. क्वेश्चन नंबर 60. क्वेश्चन नंबर 60 में क्या है कि x plus 1/x is, let's assume that value is a, तो x square plus 1/x square की वैल्यू आ जाएगी. सो बेसिकली व्हेन यू आर assuming that x plus 1/x is a, तो जब भी अपन किसी भी नंबर को x plus मतलब a plus 1/a के फॉर्मेट में लिखते हैं, तो उसकी वैल्यू अगर ये पॉजिटिव है तो हमेशा 2 या 2 से ज्यादा होगी, अगर नेगेटिव है तो -2 या उससे कम होगी. सो इसको वैसे करके कर लोगे तो आपको कभी भी वो नहीं निकालना पड़ेगा. अगर 2 से ज्यादा है तो 2 वैल्यूज आएंगी, 2 से कम है, -2 से कम है तो भी 2 वैल्यूज आएंगी, अगर 2 है तो 1 वैल्यू आएगी, -2 है तो भी 1 वैल्यू आएगी. सो इसमें आपको क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन बना के चेक नहीं करना है कि एक्चुअली वैल्यू आएगी कि नहीं आएगी. नाउ क्वेश्चन नंबर 61. आई थिंक क्वेश्चन नंबर 61 इट इज डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ एलिगेशन, कि इनिशियली पहले वाले में C 0 है, दूसरे वाले में C कितना है, 10% है, तो 0% और 10% को मिला के 7% आ रहा है. तो पहले अलॉय और दूसरे अलॉय के की क्वांटिटी का रेशियो आ गया, उसके बाद ए पे लगा दो, आंसर आ गया. क्वेश्चन नंबर 62 क्लियरली विजिबल लॉग के स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन है, उनमें से है. क्वेश्चन नंबर 63 डायमीटर गिवन है, और इसमें इफ यू नो दैट थ्योरम, क्या कहते हैं, एंगल बाइसेक्टर थ्योरम एंड दोस थिंग्स. So in geometry, if I am talking about question number 63, if you are unable to make a figure, circle कैसे बनेगा, line कैसे बनेगी, and if you are unable to draw it, leave it. If you are able to draw it and you don't know what is angle bisector, what is the meaning of angle bisector, what is the angle bisector theorem, leave it. क्योंकि in these kind of questions generally we are going to use those kind of things, और इसमें clearly बोला है कि ये line angle को bisect कर रही है, मतलब there are chances that angle bisector theorem use होगी. Now the next one, question number 64, I think एकदम ही खत्म सा क्वेश्चन है कि फर्स्ट नंबर इज 2 power a, सेकेंड 2 power 4a, सेकेंड नंबर इज 2 power 4b, और 4a से 4b के बीच में कितना होना चाहिए, ना 19 नंबर होने चाहिए, मतलब 4A और 4B में 20 का डिफरेंस होना चाहिए. And we are looking for smallest value, so A is 1, B is 6, C the answer. Question number 65 is not a very standard that time and work question, क्योंकि time and work का जो क्वेश्चन होता है उसमें जनरली अपन क्या करते हैं कि तीनों लोग साथ में काम कर रहे हैं. इसमें जरूरी नहीं है कि तीनों लोग साथ में काम करेंगे, इसमें तीनों लोग इंडिपेंडेंट काम कर रहे हैं लेकिन साथ में कर रहे हैं. लेकिन अगर ए काम कर रहा है तो बी उसकी हेल्प नहीं कर रहा है. सो बेसिकली दैट इज दैट टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन. तो उसमें जब करेंगे तो आफ्टर, तो पहले स्टार्ट करते हैं 12 घंटे में. तो 12 घंटे में ए ने 6 बनाए, बी ने 4 बनाए, सी ने 3 बनाए, तो 12 घंटे में टोटल 13 सेट बने. सो 100 से कम पे चले जाते हैं. 91 सेट बनाने में 84 आवर्स लगेंगे. उसके बाद धीरे धीरे अपना टाइम ऐड करके केस बना लो, आंसर आएगा. And question number 66, I would say it is a little time consuming question because in this question you have to make cases कि अगर x 1 है तो केस क्या बनेगा, अगर y 2 है तो केस क्या बनेगा. So overall there are going to be 3 cases in question number 60. और तीनों केस में मतलब एडिशन सब्ट्रैक्शन अगर आपका अच्छा है तो ये क्वेश्चन 2 मिनट के अंदर आपसे होगा. लेकिन इसमें बस 3 केस बनेंगे. X is 1, Y is 2, Y is 2 में 2 केस, X can be 3 और Z can be -2. That's it. So इस क्वेश्चन में I would say क्वेश्चन नंबर 58, क्वेश्चन नंबर 48, 47 एंड ये कौन सा कहते हैं 63. इन 4 के अलावा मुझे लगता है कि जो भी क्वेश्चन था वो सारे के सारे हो जाने चाहिए तुरंत. So if your calculation is little high, if your calculation is good, you can actually perform well in the exam.
54 वाला क्वेश्चन कैसे किया तुमने शशांक? Is it the same method as given in the solution?
Question number 54.
हाँ.
ये वाला अच्छा. So basically I need LCM as a perfect square, right? So LCM के लिए अपना कंसेप्ट क्या है कि n है और 25 है. 25 तो परफेक्ट स्क्वायर ही है, तो n भी परफेक्ट स्क्वायर होना चाहिए. So basically n can be 1 square to 31 square, any number. तो स्क्वायर होगा. So basically I am going to get 31 numbers from there. Second is n is the multiple of 5. ठीक है, तो वो 25 वाले में काउंट नहीं होगा. तो इफ n is a multiple of 5 तो क्या क्या बन सकता है? 5 into 1 square, 5 into 2 square, 5 into 3 square, 5 into 4 square, 5 into 5 square काउंट नहीं होगा क्योंकि 5 into 5 square और 5 square में LCM 5 क्यूब बनेगा जो स्क्वायर नहीं है. तो 5 into 6 square, 5 into 7 square, 5 into 8 square, 5 into 9 square, and it will go up to 5 into 14 square. 5 into 10 square भी काउंट नहीं होगा. And apart from this, there will not be any cases. So this is the approach I have taken to solve this question.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think as long as you recognize that they are perfect squares, I think it should be
So
7,
I think it
24, 30.
33 is
Paper
good.
paper broadly was easy. This paper was, I think, because we tried the new variation of 5 set, right? So we thought कि हो सकता है इसको because of the variation in DI, we wanted to kind of make quant a little more easier than otherwise. But I think it has become a little more easier than what it was intended to be.
हाँ, लेकिन मुझको लगता है कि कुछ तो ऐसा पेपर भी होना चाहिए कि मतलब हाँ ठीक है.
हाँ, because देखो, I think DI VA was not easy, right? VA had its similar level of toughness. There was some variation that was there in DI. So एक section तो होगा तो आसान होगा. But interestingly, I see that there's still a lot of people who are struggling to attempt beyond 13, 14 questions, right? Anybody who has attempted 13 questions, I think, has done a good job. As long as the attempts or the accuracy is not I mean, it's not poor. So this is, I mean, if somebody has missed out getting 30 to 33 marks in such a paper, you will definitely come out and say paper asan tha, I didn't do my best. This will be the reaction in such a paper. And I say hua hai kafi bar. So this will be among, if I were to put in bands of easy, moderate, and difficult.
Difficult.
This will
इसमें थोड़ा
probably be in the easy to moderate wala in the actual cat.
हाँ,
How
and
to avoid
Mahima is
silly mistakes in quant.
हाँ, so Mahima you can't. So basically read slowly. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन को जल्दी नहीं करना है. ठीक है, सिली एरर में देखो बेसिकली इन माय ओपिनियन आई ओनली कंसीडर वन थिंग दैट इज सिली एरर, दैट इज कैलकुलेशन एरर. Apart from that, there is never a silly error. It is either comprehension error or it is क्या कहते हैं conceptual error. So read it. If you have written 2 into 3 equal to 5, okay, so it means you have to go slow. You will improve. If we are talking about के पढ़ाई नहीं सर, कुछ और पढ़ लिया पेपर के बाद मुझसे हो गया, तो अगर पढ़ाई नहीं, that it means either you didn't understand, so that is a comprehension error, or you thought it is something else, so that is a conceptual error. So you need to understand what kind of silly mistake. It is calculation error, conceptual error or comprehension error. So silly mistake में तीन चीजें काउंट होती है. तो ये कौन सी है? Until you are being very specific, you can't. I think I can't. We can't help. Huh, sir, you want to add something?
I think silly or silly errors could be, I think, either जैसे Shashank was saying 2 into 3 is equal to 5. I think that probably is a attention span wala, right? Or you're so concerned about the next problem that इस problem को कैसे करना है, you're kind of missing out on that. So I think being there in the present moment, I think is important, and not worrying about acha next question kaise ho raha hai. I think the other sometimes the reason is you anticipate what the examiner is going to ask you. You end up doing silly errors. For example, he's asked you what is the diameter, but you took the variable as radius as no. See, always a good thing to avoid some silly errors is whatever is expected. For example, they're asking you to find out the diameter. You take that as a variable, right? It will help you reduce errors, because I have seen a lot of people where they take the radius as r and or x. You have been asked to find out the diameter. You find the value of x after solving the equation, and you tend to put that value as the answer. So to avoid one type of a silly mistake of variables, take exactly the variable that they are asking you to find out in the question. कभी-कभी मैं, I mean, I also have this thing of doing silly mistakes, the so-called silly mistakes. पूछा कुछ और. So I kind of make sure that the last sentence I read it loud to myself. What is to be found? I have to find out 2a plus 3b. I have to find out a or b. I have to find out 2r, not r. So sometimes it helps, right? Otherwise, I think I completely go I'm completely in sync with what Shashank was saying. Mehul says I was getting 14 to 15 questions right in quant in almost every mock. Did very silly mistakes in this. Ended up with only 10 right. 14 to 15 previous mocks में इसमें 10. Mehul, I think either you are trying too hard, right? So the moment I see that the paper looks easy, the first thing I'm going to tell myself is make sure I don't get less marks than my previous tests. I think that's if you are probably overreaching yourself, this paper, if you had got 14, 15 in the previous mocks, at least I don't think that you deserve to get a 30. Oh, तुम्हारा औकात वाला नहीं है.
इसमें मुझे
तो
लगता है 18 लिखने चाहिए थे.
एक्साइटमेंट जो है ना थोड़ा कंट्रोल कर लेना.
कि अरे इसमें तो सब होगा. तो yeah, so I
sometimes
think
you get excited, no? I think when you suddenly see a paper is a little easier, right? The excitement sometimes makes you jump a few steps and mark things that's not the correct answer. So I feel it is important for you to, control yourself, especially when the paper is a little easy.
हाँ, easy paper में गलतियां होती हैं. I do agree with it. And in Mars, no one is writing cat. I'm not sure where you get this information. So, uh, so with this, sir, you want to add something else?
Any other questions जो तुमको लगता है?
Ashish, no one knows actually. During the exam, no one knows. It's easy or difficult.
Tanmay says it went from scoring consistently 95 to how do I take this and what could be the reason for such a downfall? I mean, it must be something. It cannot be your caliber has gone down, Tanmay. That's not possible. Consistently 95 percentile. मेरा एक suggestion है कि give it a break. एक टेस्ट
Maybe.
मत लो, ठीक है? Because sometimes you have to break the fall. You say ना, you have to break the fall. So just do that. कोई कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, right? Just because you've taken, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. You might take those tests as a sectionals later. So just take it a little easy. 95 percentile if you have consistently got in the earlier mocks and suddenly it's going down, I think fundamentally I don't think there's anything wrong with you. Maybe तुम्हारा mood ठीक नहीं है या girlfriend से झगड़ा हो गया, जो भी है, right? Mood ठीक करो. I think you must always look at your moments of victories, not moments of defeat. You say कि boss, you must tell yourself औकात है 95 percentile का. How to handle time anxiety? I know the question, but not able to solve much under time pressure. Ishika, for a time being, right? For the time being, ignore the for at least ignore the timer for the first 30 minutes. Which means you might ask me, सर मुझे 30 minutes हो गया, कैसे पता चलेगा? यार हो जाएगा. 6-7 questions करने के बाद देखो टाइमर को, right? जब तक वो नहीं करोगे,
इसमें मैं एक सजेशन दे रहा हूँ कि व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस, सो स्टार्ट फ्रॉम दिस कि नेक्स्ट राइट सेक्शनल, और सेक्शनल में टारगेट करो इन 40 मिनट्स टारगेट 7 क्वेश्चंस. ठीक है, बस स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 7 क्वेश्चंस सेक्शनल में, फुल एंड मॉक में नहीं. तो उसमें अगर 7 क्वेश्चन हो रहे, ठीक है, देन इन द नेक्स्ट सेक्शन ट्राई फॉर 8 क्वेश्चंस, देन ट्राई टू इम्प्लीमेंट दैट इन द एक्चुअल मॉक, राइट? बिकॉज सडनली मॉक में नहीं होगा, तो वो धीरे धीरे प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा उसको कि सेक्शनल से शुरू करते हैं, सेक्शनल पे प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, ट्राई टू इम्प्रूव द स्कोर, थोड़ा थोड़ा ऐड करते हैं कि मतलब कोई बड़ा टारगेट लेके मत चलो कि ये मत सोचो कि मुझे आता है, मुझे 12 क्वेश्चन आते हैं, मेरे से 6, मुझे 6 क्यों करने. टारगेट फॉर 6 और 7 ऑन, बड़ा टारगेट ही मत. सो यू विल इम्प्रूव दैट, यू विल इम्प्रूव ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. मे बी मतलब अगर आता ही है तो स्कोर ही तो इम्प्रूव करना है, सो दैट विल बी इम्प्रूव्ड इन 3 हार्डली इन 10 days. So don't worry much. Akshay, I would say one thing, writing a mock is not writing too many mocks is never a good idea. The basic purpose of mock is mock का काम आपका स्कोर इम्प्रूव करना नहीं होता है. mock का काम आपको ये बताना होता है कि what are your lacking areas, कहाँ पे इम्प्रूवमेंट की जरूरत है. So if you are writing mocks without analyzing the mock, then it is just a different set of question set. तो उससे केवल मॉक देने से कोई इम्प्रूव नहीं करता. राइट मॉक्स, एनालाइज इट थॉरोली, अंडरस्टैंड, वर्क ऑन वीक एरियाज, देन राइट नेक्स्ट मॉक. उससे स्कोर इम्प्रूव होता है, उससे चीजें बदलती है. यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज योर प्रॉब्लम. इज योर प्रॉब्लम कंटेंट, और इज योर प्रॉब्लम टाइमर, और डू यू हैव अनदर इश्यूज, और यू गेट एंग्शियस. तो वो जो सारी चीजें हैं वो आपको फिगर आउट करनी है, इसीलिए मॉक दिए जाते हैं. Did you get my point? अगर हम इम्प्रूव नहीं कर रहे हैं तो केवल मॉक देने का कभी कोई सेंस नहीं था, कभी रहेगा भी नहीं. सो राइट मॉक, एनालाइज, इम्प्रूव, देन राइट मॉक अगेन. सो दिस इज द जनरल थिंग वी डू. सो अगर तुम देखोगे स्टार्ट में हम लोगों ने जब मॉक शुरू करे थे मार्च, अप्रैल, मई के टाइम पे, सो वी यूज टू गिव 1 मॉक इन 2 weeks. उसके बाद फिर 1 मॉक इन 1 week. देन के मतलब ये कि लोगों ने पढ़ लिया, अब उनको एनालिसिस में कम टाइम लग रहा है, राइट?
Sir, एक Krish का है issue. Krish is asked whether the cat goes for the distribution. No, बेटे, that would be surprise element. First set में normally जो होता है that continues in the other set. जो first slot में रहेगा, तो that could be not a surprise element for second and third slot. But first slot के लिए तो that would always be a surprise element.
So unfortunately, they don't tell us what is the pattern of the paper. It's like a
But
state secret.
बट नॉर्मली सर ये रहता है एडवांटेज स्लॉट 1 स्लॉट 2 और स्लॉट 3 के पास वो एक लीवरेज
Correct,
रहता है, दे
correct,
कैन डेफिनेटली कम टू नो.
correct. Right.
एंड सर एक शौर्य का डाउट है हाउ टू वर्क ऑन वीक एरियाज. सो सर शौर्य, मेरा पर्सनल एनालिसिस में ये रहेगा, सी अंडरस्टैंड द आइडिया, वीकनेस है क्या. इफ प्रोबेबली द वीकनेस इज द कंसेप्ट, then definitely we need to understand and we need to watch some conceptual videos. Or because 30 days रह गए CAT में, तो I would not suggest you to do all the topics. Depends आप क्या टारगेट कर रहे हो, आपका स्कोर क्या परसेंटाइल टारगेट है. अगर आपको लगता है that you probably targeting 90+% or something like that, then do look for certain conceptual videos, work on questions on arithmetic and select few topics, because 30 days में सारा का सारा quant prepare करना probably would not be feasible. So all depends किस लेवल पे बैठे हो, कहाँ पे हो इस स्टेज पे. If the problem is not the concept and you can understand looking at the solutions what the idea was, then probably talking or solving more questions could be a better idea. शिवकु सर, आपका कुछ मतलब your views on that?
I mean, I am completely with you that I would rather want you to revise things, right? And if there is any topic that seems completely out of bounds to you, leave it. But as such, I mean, this leaving wala part, na, I don't think it should be more than 1 or 2 topics, right? If you say ki, I mean, geometry pura chhod diya ya algebra pura chhod diya, tab to you are restricting your, so what if I were to skip something, I will probably skip a topic that looks very abstract to me. So in general, I will say 80% of what we call as syllabus, I would definitely want you to do. So conceptual videos abhi karke mujhe nahi lagta ki fayda hai. It is about revising what you did wrong in the previous papers. I feel that is sufficient for you to fix if at all there are any problems that you have. What is the frequency of mocks after admit card? I mean, I think I don't suggest anything more than 2 mocks a day. 2 mocks a week. I mean, अगर 1-2 वीक में आप 3 मॉक्स करना चाहते हो, करो. But I think as you get closer to the CAT, I think don't go beyond 2 mocks a day. See, the reason is, it is not as if by taking more mocks you're going to get better. On the contrary, it can actually hurt your confidence. So I would rather want you to do fewer mocks and do better in those, and do the revision and use the other mocks as sectional tests. Twisha is asking, I think she started off with 1 set right, and now she's not managing to even do that 1 set right. क्या करना चाहिए गौतम?
Sir, to be very true, depends. मतलब, I think more or less it would be a panic situation only, because at times I've seen students एक सेट तो हो ही रहे, तो अब तो मुझे 2 निकालने हैं या 3 ही निकालने हैं, तो वो probably that aspiration is getting higher, जिसकी वजह से probably few of the students इनका target 1 या 1.5 सेट था पहले, now probably they're spending less of time on that set, and that pressure situation is probably hurting them. So my personal analysis with the students is always like that. So probably it is important कि हम लोग, if you're not able to get 1 set correct, let's not think about getting to the second set or probably leaving every set in between and moving faster. Identification of set is important, और उसमें फिर उसमें टाइम लगाकर let's figure it out कि मुझे 1 set पहले correct करने, then probably the second set, if that was a situation.
Correct, ठीक है. शशांक, तुम्हारा कुछ है?
मेरा ओपिनियन थोड़ा सा अलग है. मेरा ओपिनियन ये है कि when you are solving LR, I do not understand why people count the number of attempts in terms of sets. Like for example, if we look at the data in this mock itself, in the 4th set, people have done extremely well in last 2 questions. First 2 questions were in red. People didn't get it right. तो 2 क्वेश्चन करो, छोड़ दो. Why you are counting the set? तुम्हारा अटेम्प्ट जो होगा वो हो सकता है तुम्हारे 7 अटेम्प्ट हो. 7 अटेम्प्ट का मतलब 1 फुल सेट नहीं होता है. 7 अटेम्प्ट का मतलब होता है कि you might get 7 attempts from 3 different sets or 4 different sets. So why count the sets? If you are solving a set and in the first 5 or 7 minutes you get 2 to 3 answers, mark the answers, move on. पूरा सेट क्यों करना है? So I think the people should not count the attempts in terms of score. ये थोड़ा सा मुझे लगता है कि अगर once they work on this thought process, I think their score will improve.
Yeah, I think Trisha, just to add on to Shashank, when you think about saying that I want to do one set completely, it's good to think that I'll get all the questions of one set right, but 90% of the time it doesn't happen in CAT. There'll be one easy question जहाँ पे चार questions, one easy set जहाँ पे चार questions तो आसान होते हैं, एक तो थोड़ा twist तो होता ही है, वो आसान वाले में भी थोड़ा twist होता है. So one is keeping that in mind. Second is, if it is possible, right? I think about farming at least two sets. So you probably will, the end point has to be that you have to get 6 or 7 questions right. See if you can do that, because I think what I'm thinking is you have pre-decided that there is one set I'll do it completely and then only move to the next set. When that set doesn't get completed, I think it's going to hurt you badly. So I feel you must build some sense of flexibility, at least to move to the two sets. I won't say that I think it will be impractical for me to suggest you must look at all the 4 sets. I'd say pick the 2 easy sets and see if you can split time between the two. Maybe together you will be able to do 6-7 questions, right? Otherwise, if you try doing only one set, doing everything right, if by chance you pick up the right set, great. But otherwise, the probability that you will get everything right in one set might actually be a little low. So this panicking, even Aniruddha is talking about panicking. Siddhar, I start panicking during the mock because of the time constraint, which makes me lose marks in every section. Even on an easy question, what should I do? Right? Stop panicking. Panic क्यों होता है? Panic is you're worried about what is going to happen after 2 hours. I mean, while you are doing it, if you're worrying about what will happen after 2 hours, where is the fun in doing those 2 hours? You must be thick-skinned to do well in CAT. If you're not thick-skinned, I think if you're too sensitive to what is happening on the dot at every point in time, you will always get worried. Okay.
So
What should be the strategy for revision, Shaurya?
So strategy, Gautam sir, you want to add something?
Sir, to be very true, again, I personally believe strategy for revision is like understand. I always say is understand the idea that you're probably scoring. Look forward for your weakness and strengths first. Understand probably when looking at the mocks. Most of the time, students would be able to understand and figure out what are the exactly problems. Where does the problem actually lies? Especially when it comes to क्वांटिटेटिव एबिलिटी में बहुत सारे बच्चों का बहुत सारे इश्यूज अलग अलग तरह के हैं. सो इफ इट प्रॉब्ली वुड कम टू लाइक कंसेप्चुअल इश्यूज है जहां पर बच्चों के मॉक देख के समझ आता है कि यार वी प्रॉबेबली आर मिसिंग आउट समथिंग ऑन द बेसिक कंसेप्ट्स एंड क्वेश्चन वाज मार्क्ड इजी. सो प्रॉबेबली नीड टू फिगर आउट कि मुझे अपनी पुरानी शीट्स रिवाइज करनी है या कुछ अपना बेसिक है जिसको आई प्रॉबेबली नीड टू गो बैक एंड रिवाइज माय नोट्स और समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो अब 30 डेज हैं तो need to figure out that ways कि मुझे अपना टाइम स्पेंड कहाँ करना है. सो ट्राई टू मेक अ स्मॉल टेबल फॉर योरसेल्फ. एक चीज और जो सर पैनिकी वाली सिचुएशन थी, मैं उसके लिए पर्सनली स्टूडेंट्स को जो हमेशा रिकमेंड करता हूँ, मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स इन द लास्ट 30 days आर नॉट इनटू एनी फिजिकल एक्टिविटीज. माय पर्सनल suggestion to each of the students in that case is do involve yourself into some physical activities, sweat out for at least half an hour a day. Because इस स्टेज पे बहुत सारे बच्चों का इश्यू क्या होता है कि they are only probably working out in their rooms, not moving out, not socializing anything. So that normally would create a panic situation, because when you're not probably socializing, not interacting with so many people, not getting into any physical activities, normally वो चीजें ज़्यादा problem create करती हैं for most of the students. This is my personal analysis for the students. So I always keep suggesting students that थोड़ा chill लो, थोड़ा socialize भी करो, थोड़ा physical activities में involve हो जाओ, that probably would be better off job.
Okay, I think revision का I think you learn only from your mistakes. That's what I feel. right? So look at all the mistakes that you have done in the past, genuine mistakes, right? ये तुक्का लगाने वाला mistake नहीं है. तुक्का लगा के आंसर गलत आया तो वो mistake भी नहीं है. वो I don't know whether you knew it or not, but I would say कि one way of looking at the past is look at the mistakes, and if you have not yet done PYQs, do the PYQs. I think this should take care of, at least for quant, that should take care of the entire revision, I guess, right? And as Gautam said, I think it's very important to feel physically fit, because I think physically being fit is equivalent to being mentally fit. What to do if you're not able to sleep due to exam stress? any hacks? Acha,
Do physical activities.
you do the thing that is most boring to you, right? वो करना शुरू करो.
दिन भर
Probably they needs to get down to join a gym for that purpose. Do a 30 to 45 minutes of gymming every day in the night, probably before the sleep, and probably you'll have a best of sleep.
Shweta, stop thinking about the exam. I think that's the best way to sleep. Eon essays or podcast. I mean, you know, normally I go to sleep listening to some podcast, right? And when I'm concentrating on that, I know that in the next, if I'm feeling a little tired, after I hit the bed, I am off to sleep in 15-20 minutes if I'm focusing, trying to listen to what is happening. So I find it very easy to go to sleep by listening to something. या क्वांट का फॉर्मूला वाला है, कोई मंत्र वंत्र है तो सुन लेना.
ठीक
है. So I think we'll ठीक है. Thanks Shashank. Thanks Gautam.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.